Hello, I'm Kevin Hong. I'm a partner at LYC Partners, an executive search and leadership advisory firm. I'm also the co-founder of The Council, a private network for senior executives. And this is Leaders in Motion. Today, I'm joined by Pierluigi Visotti. Pierluigi is a managing director and founder of Ulysses. He has held positions such as Global Head of Program Management and Business Development at Witron. And after leading APAC program management in sales, business development in the region, he also held program leadership roles in Italy across Maserati, Magneti Marelli. And in this conversation, we'll talk about China's automotive acceleration, what Western OEM misunderstood, what cross-border leadership really requires, and what luxury auto means. And next, Pierluigi, welcome to Leaders in Motion.
Thank you, Kevin. Nice to talk to you today.
Before we get into the heart of the topic, maybe you can give a quick introduction of yourself. You're currently in China and you're originally from Italy. So maybe you can start with a short presentation of your journey and what brought you here.
Yes, you're right. I'm Italian. Now I'm entering in my 9th year in China, so already quite a journey, starting to feel very local in this country, starting to feel this is my home. I joined here because I wanted to explore this interesting market for the automotive. When I arrived was the biggest in terms of numbers. Now the meaning of this market changed a lot since when I arrived. Teach me a lot of things and give me a lot of opportunities, learning opportunities for sure, most of this, but also something important in my private life, not only in the professional life. I think it's a market that is now starting to lead automotive industry, not by chance, but because of the great attitude that is here, very, very easy to find. Recently, we started this business, still in automotive industry, offering consulting services for the supply chain. I love automotive. I think luxury industry within automotive is an interesting niche to work with.
When you started your career in Italy, and what were the reasons back then that also sent you to China? Whether was this plan, was it a dream, or was it purely really by chance or random? And what were also the thoughts you had about the country, the market at that time, potentially things that you were right about, things that completely changed your mind or blew you away, and things that you learned from?
Yeah. Well, of course, Italy is a great country. I love it. So I was working in a very nice environment. When I left, I was leaving from Maserati, which is a great company, still now. Great brand, a lot of history, a lot of heritage, great people, great technology over there, no? But personally, I felt I was missing something. I wanted some sparkle. I wanted to foster my professional experience with an international assignment where I could challenge myself out of the routine, out of the environment where I was feeling too familiar, too confident, no? So it was a moment for me to really push my limits. And I think China is a place for an European guy, is a great place to challenge your limits. Modify dramatically your habits. You're gonna learn a new way of living. It's attracted me a lot. I have to say that has been completely surprising. So before to come to China, I try, of course, to imagine what could be China and how can I find my space in this environment, in this country? How can I do my job, with new minds and new people? And so I built an understanding that, I have to be honest, when I arrived here was completely wrong. Completely wrong. I had to rebuild everything. Still, very honestly, I have to tell you that when I arrived, it was tough. It was tough because I felt disoriented, completely disoriented. Way to tell you one thing, in Italy, communication style is super direct, no? Very, very direct. And this is seen also as a great value in every communication, no? Personal communication, professional communication. The more direct you express your ideas, clearly, more direct, more fast, the faster and the better you can get to the points. This in China doesn't work. There is a lot to learn about the culture, the timing, and the method to deliver a message. So this has been the first thing that I had to learn. When I arrived here. It surprised me a lot. I think I spend a lot of time observing, watching the people, because you arrive. You cannot get the language. English 9 years ago, in Shanghai, you could find a good level of English and quite popular, but out of the tier 1 cities was difficult, no? So I had to develop a lot of observation skills, trying to understand the body language of the people, try to understand what those people do when they talk to each other, what are the roles in the conversation, what are the habits in the conversation. And this, I think, teach me a lot and helped me a lot in the years after and till now. From the other side, I think Italians have some great skill, which is the flexibility, and is a common point with this side of the world. You know, China is the kingdom of flexibility. You know? So I think people coming here need to have this skill, and being Italian helped me a lot, because especially Southern Italy people, they have this as a, gift when they born, you know. So this was good to have. It helped me a lot to enter and integrate in this kind of environment.
From the business perspective, anything that you learned that was really different, maybe?
Well, so the first thing you get when you arrive to China, knowing zero about China. No? So, in Europe, in the Western world, not only in Europe, there are a lot of prejudice about this side of the world. Until now, so until today, it's still like this. No? So this prejudice bring also the professional environment, even within automotive, to think that in Europe, we master technology, master working methods. We know how to develop cars, components, systems. Actually, when I arrived here, I discovered that know-how is already existing here, already 9 years ago. This is a great understanding when you arrive here. It changed completely what you are thinking, because you come here that you think you can teach, but actually you can learn. And the other thing that change also quite significantly the way to work is understanding the attitude. Here there is a humble, silent, but extremely ambitious way to work. Not big advertisement, not big noise about what we're gonna do, but a very precise strategy plan, very, very well-defined targets, and concrete follow-up action, concrete plan to achieve those targets. So there is ambition with know-how. Those are great things to achieve results.
Do you think that Chinese companies have been learning from Western technology by also not disclosing these plans? Or do you think that the Western firms who were not listening to what was happening?
I think it's a mix of both, because as I said, Chinese company, they don't make advertisement. They're not going to tell you what's going to happen. They will just do it, and do it soundly with results. So you will notice when things are already on the table. From the other side, I don't want to use the word arrogance. I prefer to say lack of understanding of the Asian culture, brings European firms, European companies to underestimate what could happen, what is coming. This happened for the last 10 years, 15 years. And so...
would you also say lack of interest?
Yeah, it's been also lack of interest, in my opinion. Because, you feel many companies felt like they mastered the technology. Historically, innovation was happening in Europe, was happening in US. but was never happening in China. So many companies based their strategy on this understanding. But then at a certain point, they had to face the race of innovation from Asia. On some contents, on some field, on some sectors where they were not prepared to face. So these also bring new contents on the table, new contents for the consumers. And this basically started to shift little by little the market. This happened still. Many companies in China underestimated these signals, took it as, consumer will never go there. This will never be interesting. We know how to do car. We know the pleasure around the car. We know what consumer is looking for. We know how to do quality components. No. But now quality is given for granted. The consumer changed. The new generation look at the car in a different way. So I think this has been a little bit the problem. A combination of factors.
Do you think there was a turning point where Chinese companies started to become more competitive or to challenge the status quo?
Well, so for sure, EV, the rise of EV has been a turning point. No, has been a moment, let's say, fostered by also institutional strategy. No, not only by player of the sector, but still, let's ignore for a moment this. No, has been a turning point. Has been a moment where automotive industry in China has understood that could break through the industry, could shift the leadership of this industry, because Europeans were not focusing on this. So they have been able to predict the shift and also to pilot, of course, the shift of the consumer trends. Have been to predict that by developing this product and helping this strategy with good policies, they could open a market where they are absolute leader because of many factors, because they started first, because they believe in it when no one was believing in it, because they have extraordinary access to the raw materials, which other regions cannot have. So this, of course, has been a turning point in the automotive industry for the Chinese company. I have to say that there are also concerns with it. Why? Because if we look at the things with objective lens, yes, a turning point. But this turning point in this moment brings attention to China, but is not bringing yet profitability to the Chinese companies. Is a way to enter in the market and try to win this market by excluding consolidated players. So they are trying to get shares of consolidated players and in this way winning the market. But it's a very long and difficult path, because along this path, few people, few companies are making money. What would happen if policy are not supporting anymore the industry? What will happen if, hopefully, because I still would like Europe and North America to compete on technology. And I think, in example, Europe for several years almost give up on technology and on innovation. They just try to compete on costs. If I see European car makers, most of the effort they put in the last years has been on finding sustainable solution to make their supply chain more competitive. Not fostering much innovation, but finding creative ways to make the supply chain competitive. So leveraging other regions, pushing supplier to open plants in low-cost countries, and replacing suppliers with, suppliers maybe coming from China. But actually, the real leadership is on another table, which is the table of the innovation. So I think there is where I hope Europe and US car makers will go back to try to gain market share. No. If they do so, automotive will get also a lot more interesting and the market will shift again.
What surprises me is right now, Western OEMs were also present when these innovation happened in China. So I'm always surprised why they didn't catch up on this innovation. They were seeing the Chinese companies innovating, and I'm surprised why they didn't catch on this innovation at the same time and at the same pace.
Well, so there could be also here a combination of factors. No, one of these things could be China always been a special region for this market, no, where we know there are big numbers. So it's a region where you have to be. Historically, has been managed with the waves of different management. There were waves where Western companies were sending their people coming from Europe or from America to lead and try to force a point of view of coming from abroad, no? Like a technology point of view or leadership style point of view. Then after a while, this kind of approach was not bringing the result company were expecting. And so new wave coming of replacing expat management with local management. Very good, things improving, but this brings also a little bit of isolation of China from the headquarters. With this isolation, you are also less capable to understand the risk that are happening. So I think China gave a great boost to the EV and to the shift of the market when there was this change of wave. After COVID, a lot of expat and a lot of international managers went back home, and Chinese European companies started to replace management with local managers, great managers, studied in great school, completely capable to do a great job. But in this moment, they start to lose the touch with the ground. So lose the touch with the market. And they didn't also understand how was shifting the consumer trends. Lot of EV players raised in these years, and the quality of the cars from 2018, 2019 to 2026, dramatically changed, dramatically improved. When people started to come back from the COVID, I remember many people were surprised by the level of improvement that they could see. So this could be one of the things.
You mentioned that the Western car makers missed the new trends of the new generation of consumers. What would you say these trends are?
Let's start with the consumer trends here in China. So EV actually brings a lot of things, because with EV comes also the interiors of the car, very, very expressive, very interconnected, and bringing the consumers to experience a car, we say this many, many times, super digital, super similar to a mobile phone. But to go a little bit deeper in this is here consumers are maybe a little bit younger than the Western world. We know the new generation are fully engaged with the digital world, and the car cannot be a point of discontinuity with this world. So a successful car, a car that wants to gain customer within the new generation, should foster this digital experience, not interrupt it. This is the biggest gap also with the Western cars. If you travel to Europe, you still feel this gap is big. Many times your phone cannot connect quickly, and what the car can offer you respect to a Chinese car is completely different. Much more into driving, while when you are in China is much more into experiencing. You can watch a movie, you can have a massage, you can do gaming inside, you can do meeting, you can have noise bubble around the driver that he can make his phone call, but the passenger does not listen. So those are experiences that you can only have in China. No. Or now in Europe, if you buy some Chinese car. No. But if you go in Europe or also in North America, and you drive a traditional brand, let's say traditional brand. So if you drive a Stellantis car or a Volkswagen Group car or maybe Ford, the experience is still very focused on driving or not driving. No. The best you can do is having CarPlay to mirroring your phone on the screen of the car, and this is already considered efficient. But we are talking about two different worlds. So this is the consumer trends. Now, what is behind these consumer trends? So it's a clear strategy from the car maker. And the point, in my opinion, is that Western car makers still think driving experience is what they want to deliver. But the question is, do the new generation want this driving experience? Do they care about this driving experience? Probably the answer is not, or not completely, or I want to choose when yes and when not. And if it's not, I need to do something in my car. That's why I buy a car. No, otherwise, why to buy a car? No. So there is a different approach yet. To defend also Western car makers, I don't think they are stupid. This is also very related to the environment where the car is. So the cities, the infrastructure, and in general, the consumers, majority of the people there, they live in a different environment and they still demand for traditional contents. So they have a kind of dilemma when they are approaching new development. They know maybe these consumer trends, but they don't know if to invest to implement this. They are very scared about what happened to some very famous car maker that got the trend of EV, in example, and invested millions, billions to transform their platform in EV to result in a reduction of sales, dramatic reduction of sales. So this, I can understand now a lot of car maker going back or being more and more conservative if they have to make investment in new technology, no?
What would you say would be the chances of Western companies to catch up, to compete, or to play their own cards? Or do you even think that they can play, they still have some cards to play?
No, I think they have a chance to play. Of course, attitude is key on this. There must be a change of speed on this. No? I think they cannot look at China and implement China contents, or even the opposite. They don't have to block China contents or China car maker or China supplier. I don't think this is the right way. I think the only chance is the innovation. Invest in innovation, create contents around the consumer of the region they know very well, and being able to summarize what is good of the Chinese car makers, of the Chinese car innovation, and implement in a more sustainable platform full of new content of innovation. This is the only way to compete and regain market share. No? Because trying to copy what happened in many years ago, no, there was China copying some Western OEM. Now the opposite will not work because consumers are very different, and because here the behavior of the consumers is more easy to drive. In the Western world, you cannot drive that behavior, no? But I think Western OEM, they have a wide knowledge and a wide experience with their consumers. They just need to keep an innovative approach, not cost-saving oriented. This will not... If we look at the past to learn from the past, all those mass market brands have been champions of innovation. We talk about Ford with process of car. They made the process as efficient as no one did in the past. If we look at Fiat in Italy, they still now are third or fourth car maker for volumes. They acquire a reputation, global reputation. If you go to South America, Brazil, Fiat is still the first or second brand. Why they got this reputation as a brand? For the content of innovation they were able to propose to their consumer. And the same for many, for Volkswagen, for Audi. This is how they become Audi, how they become Volkswagen. They cannot lose this identity. Losing this identity and becoming a I don't know, mass market player, not looking for a specific performance, but, I think like platform a little bit killed this spirit of those car makers, no? Making platform cost effective, easy to sell in a large number on great scales, kills a little bit the identity of these brands. But this has to be, in my opinion, rebuilt to compete and get market share they deserve.
When I was discussing with an executive in China, he mentioned to me one of the issue of taking bold risk and changes and being innovative was for very much linked to the leadership in China. On one hand, the expats being sent either too junior, the one with a lot of ideas, willing to take risks, to make some changes. Sometimes were not really highly regarded by the headquarter, not having enough seniority, not being taking their ideas too seriously. Or on the opposite side of the spectrum, having the ones close to retirement, not really willing to push too difficult changes and challenge the status quo. And as a result, you end up with stagnation in terms of mindset, innovation. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that what you said and what your previous talk raised is completely true. It's completely true. And this is one of the big failure of Western companies so far. I see this problem also with Chinese companies now going abroad, because this is one of the major trends. We are also, as Ulysses, we are working on this trend now, and we see this mistake. They want to go abroad completely Chinese. So all the management, all the decision makers are just sent in a completely new environment where they know or they understand what they understand. You can figure out what will be the efficiency of the decision-making process. Europe made for many years this mistake. When you send a new person here, the learning curve is what it is. The guy can be a fox, learn very quickly, but there is a time to get there, to integrate, and there is a time for him to, pass the right message in the opposite side. The truth is to make this cooperation really meaningful, to use all the potential of Asia, you really need to mix them. I'm completely against leaving Asia region to local people. They can be great and deliver result, but you are missing the understanding of the local market, and you become totally dependent on the local market, on the local people. Best approach, in my opinion, is to mix the environment. You need to have several Western people here so they can learn and become very, very easy to understand the dynamics. And when they explain to the headquarters, you get opinion from more people. So people in the headquarters can build more easily their understanding, can count on more point of view. The same, Chinese people should have the opportunity to travel abroad, to spend months in the headquarters, learn the culture, learn the values of the company. So when they talk to customer, they know what message they should pass. They know what the company cares about. This, I think, is a good model.
I have another insight to share, and I'd be interested to also know what you think. In order to be competitive with Chinese companies coming now to Europe or Western markets, you need to invest heavily in China. That sounds like a paradox, but you need to invest heavily in China so that you learn, because this is a market that is so fast-paced, so competitive. If you can manage to win in China, you can also win, and you have more chances, because this is your home turf, to also win at home. What do you think?
I totally agree. So, as a matter of fact, innovation is happening here. No, cost champions are here. You don't want to learn from this, then you will lose the next challenge. No, is here where things are happening, and you need to be here if you want to be also able to predict what is coming next. What we said before, probably a lot of Western companies didn't see this coming because they were not here. But being here, investing here, now you can use cost champions, you can use great engineers, can see, touch the technology, experience the technology, and use what is more relevant to your business.
What do you think about the luxury segment?
So first of all, I see Chinese company are working on it. So it's not something they are completely giving up, but I agree with you. In the last years, they were not focusing on, they never been focusing on luxury. Chinese culture was always been, from my point of view, from what I learned in these 9 years, always more oriented in volumes, big numbers. But now the point is that these big numbers, in my opinion, are not bringing the profitability expected. You do big numbers, but you just move money. This money never enter in the right pocket. They started to look at something smaller, but more high margin, which typically is the luxury industry. The point of luxury industry is that you really need to be the best in doing what you do. And you need the time, lot of time, for consumer to get it, to get your positioning, to get the quality of your product, and to build that legacy that make you recognizable as a luxury player. And this is something that in this moment, Chinese players don't have. So this, I think, is still a great advantage that European companies or Western companies should not lose. They should be very careful to protect. I think it's still an industry where the big leaders are and will be for several years, European or Western. From the other side, we always have to count the consumer trends as for automotive. And we talk now luxury, could be automotive or other things. And as we said, here the consumer behavior in some way can be changed, can be guided. So we cannot really predict if in some years there will be some aversion. We already start to see a little bit of aversion to Western brands and some more favorable behavior to local brands. This is for jewelry or for clothes. We start to see this here in China. No? So Western companies should be very careful to protect their heritage and to propose something to protect their legacy, to work on their legacy. Don't live just on what has been built with years of experience, years of performance, but keep working on it if you want to keep this advantage.
And what do you think should be all the main risks and that are facing the luxury car makers with
Well, so if we look at China, or let's start from China, but the panorama of luxury car makers in China is changing in these years, no? In the recent years. A lot of mass market players proved themselves with some luxury cars. BYD did this, Yangwang U9 is one of the examples, FAW did this, GAC did this. So we see local players trying some exercise doing sport car or luxury car. They do this because they want to enter in the sector? I don't think so at the moment. They want to gain visibility, international visibility. They want to show they can do good car. So in this way, also Western consumer will start to look at them. But we also see some player like Stellato, Xiaomi in some way. I don't want to say Xiaomi when we talk about luxury, but some performance is there that start to deliver contents that are super premium, are not premium, are not luxury, are very close to it. And so these are attracting the consumers. No? While the consolidated brands are performance-wise, design-wise, and heritage-wise still very far away, still very recognizable, strong, and leaders in what they do. We see consumers starting to look at this new player with curiosity. And we get back 1 second to Xiaomi. Xiaomi also has a very strange positioning because it's proposing super premium contents, super sportive contents at a very affordable price. So it's making luxury affordable. And this naturally will attract a lot of consumer, even for curiosity, that both cars supposed to deliver the same performance with much more millions and now can buy the same level of performance at an affordable price. I don't know where this will lead. It's something that we all are studying, but I think is very curious. Is very curious. Globally, there is no game yet. So luxury automotive players are always the same. We didn't see globally emerging new luxury automotive players. No, out of China, we didn't see. There are few, one or two in raising in California. For example, Lucid is one of these examples, but I feel it's still in the sector of super premium and not luxury. We are not talking about level of a Ferrari, level of an Aston Martin, of a McLaren, or even more, Bugatti, Pagani, this kind of level. No, for this you need time. There is nothing to do. You can have great car with great performance to get that luxury feeling, that aura behind the car. You really need lot of result, lot of performance, lot of satisfaction behind the product. And for this, there is no shortcut. So for this reason, I feel luxury automotive is still a great niche within the automotive industry, and is something that probably Western part of the world should focus on, should protect, and should keep up on innovating and on proposing great contents. Yeah, I cannot hear you now.
Do you observe right now, when it comes to the new community of foreigners in China?
It's hard to say. Normally, I see Western people living in China happy about what they're doing, motivated to remain, to work from here, and I see a lot of them also considering the geopolitical situation, assuming this role of bridge between the Western world and here. So this is another trend. I see many people here working to be a bridge. I think it's a positive thing, because we need people that can explain this side of the world to the Western world. This will help culturally and will help also in the business. I also think that environment for them has been changing dramatically in the last years. The way of living of the Western people in China has been changing dramatically. Several years ago, a lot of privilege, a lot of the life was quite easy, I want to say, quite welcoming for Western people coming here, bringing know-how. They were supposed to bring know-how, and because of this, they were receiving great benefits from their companies or also from the environment around them. This has been changing a lot in the last years, and now has become a little bit of a jungle where you have to be very valuable, more difficult, very valuable professional to survive in the environment. And the life, also the personal life, it's for sure exciting. I mean, China has a lot to offer, but benefits are just finished. Advantages are just finished. People who remains here knows China, accept China, and there's plenty in China. And I think also newcomers here, new foreigners coming here, need to have a different approach. You come here because you want to integrate in this culture and you want to become a value for this culture and for some bridging activities back to your country.
I would like to flip that question. Chinese companies or Chinese as a society welcome, like you mentioned, foreigners, Westerners, to bring know-how. It has been true for the community, welcoming the community. It has been true for business, welcoming the technology and the manufacturing, as well as politically, right? But now things are shifting, things are flipping, and it seems like the playbook it's rather obvious. You could also do that in Europe and bring and attract and compete to bring the best technology, to bring the best players, the Chinese players in your country, to welcome the technology to your country. But do you think that it is a solution? And if it is, do you think this is even possible? And if yes...
No, I think it's a way. It's possible. It's possible, and I think it's smart as well. We have to stop looking this side of the world as a threat. It's not. It's an opportunity. So I think in the Western world, the mindset should be changing in a more open way, welcoming new contents, because you can benefit out of it. If we take an example, automotive industry that I'm familiar with, a lot of players are looking for manufacturing plants in Europe. I'm really witness of several Chinese tier one that to serve Stellantis, Renault, Volkswagen, they've been asked by the car maker to be present in Europe. So they are all buying manufacturing plants, facilities with engineers inside, several cases like this. And this is the opportunity for us. This is the opportunity to welcome investment, give job to engineers, and make business with these people. So the point is being able to attract this investment, because a Chinese company going to Europe in this moment has a lot of choice. So will you be as attractive as they need? Will you facilitate the business environment? Will you create for them a good place to work, to make business? This is the question.
This is great food for thoughts for a lot of us. Thank you, Pierluigi. It was great to have you. Very insightful.
My pleasure, Kevin. Has been nice talking with you. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Leaders in Motion. And if you want to go further, join the Leaders in Motion Academy, our executive program. The first step is simple. Subscribe to our newsletter in the show notes, and you'll get access to our exclusive insights and all the details about the Academy. This podcast is produced by Melanie Hong, who helps leaders and organizations create strategic podcasts. I'm Kevin Hong, and see you next time.